welcome to this week's edition of Less Than 60 Minutes. I'm your host, Trey Messer. Today on June 6, 1746, we will be discussing the Austrian succession and its impact on our colonies today. In an overview, we know it's been a collection of wars between the French and the British, and one of the main reasons for this struggle is religion, specifically the emergence of Protestantism in the light of this so-called First Great Awakening. It was made known that the Roman Catholics are persecuting the Protestants, as the American Mercury retells several stories of Protestants being burned and lashed to near death. Much is unknown about the people involved in the struggle, so we have Lauren Garcia here from the New York Evening Post to explain to us what exactly was going on overseas right after this advertisement.
Hello, my name is Edward Hicks. I'm looking to sell some wine, cotton wool, and rope to any potential buyers. If interested, please come to my home, which is located next door to Mr. George McGall's house over the drawbridge. Thank you.
Lauren here is an expert on the New York Evening Post, so I thought I would ask you, who was the Duke of Cumberland and what is his role in the colonies?
Wow, thank you for having me. That's such a great question. Although some have said that the New York Evening Post is subjective towards the crown, I am here to give you the straight-up facts. The Duke of Cumberland was a British general who got his title Butchered Cumberland after suppressing the Jacobites' rising in April of 1746. In May, we saw what would transpire after the Battle of Culloden.
It's interesting. So what kind of tensions are rising in the colonies right now?
So the Battle of Culloden was fought between the British government, who was represented by the Duke of Cumberland, and the Jacobites with support from France. On April 16th, the Duke of Cumberland crushed the Jacobites near Inverness. Around 80 were executed, and throughout May and June, the rebels were hunted down. There was an ongoing retaliation through 1746 between the rebels and the Duke of Cumberland's army. Every day they both had to be on their toes because there were either shots fired at them or either side was taken as captives. And on May 26th, another encounter happened between the rebels and the Duke of Cumberland. As soon as the rebels at Aberdeen heard that the Duke was marching towards them with their army, they continued onward, not allowing the Duke's army to catch up with them. The Duke of Cumberland was then followed them with tens of thousands of men, and between 2,000 and 3,000 towards Inverness 2 days before that. The rebels then took Fort George near Inverness and gave them 8,000 to 10,000 men strong. Terrible battles between the rebels and the Duke of Cumberland lasted long after that. This was a huge turning point in the colonies, as the Duke of Cumberland would eventually win. But I wonder what would have been different if the crown did not win.
Lauren, thank you for your insight. Now to Charlotte Spears with our local news.
Charlotte Spears here, reporting with the local news. Mr. William Gooch, Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, is planning on leaving for the Canadian expedition with men from New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Virginia to secure the northern colonies from Indian violence. George Thomas, Lieutenant Governor of Pennsylvania, will accompany Mr. Gooch and is asking for men to enlist in their expedition, especially those who would be willing to settle in southern Canada and or are familiar with the River St. Lawrence. There will be suitable rewards. For our viewers in Williamsburg, please be on the lookout for a runaway servant by the name of Bridget Dolan. Her employer is offering half a pistol in reward. Careful though, she does in fact have smallpox. And Mr. William Goldbrough Banyar is heading to war with the Six Nations of Indians and is requesting tents and other particulars to aid his endeavors. The war will help push back the Indians away from colonists. Mr. Banyar would also like me to remind Massachusetts and Connecticut to pay him back for their war effort. A ship of 200 slaves has arrived in West Point, and the ship will head down to the James River, where it will pick up tobacco, then head for Bristol. And lastly, we are wishing our publisher, William Parks, luck and good fortune as he is being sued for libel and hostile opinion by the Virginia nobility. We will be right back after this short break.
Good morning, my name is David Davis. You may have seen my ads the past few weeks in which I petitioned the community for help finding my infant horse. I have had no luck so far. He disappeared a few weeks ago and I am unsure if he ran off or was stolen. Remember, he is dark brown, runs well, is branded on the right shoulder and buttocks, and stands for about 14 hands tall. Again, please contact David Davis of Lancaster County should you find my horse. You will receive 30 shillings for your efforts.
Welcome back to Less Than 60 Minutes. Drew Carlson is live on the scene with breaking news. Drew?
Thanks, Trey. I'm on the scene here in New York with some breaking news. It appears as if a viral outbreak has occurred, and disease is overwhelming the city. We believe this disease is not new, not to our city and not to our world. There have been reports of this fever raging through our people for some years past, and our present knowledge may help us stop this disease from spreading any further. From what we can tell so far, this pestilential fever will require the assistance of all who are able in order to cease its existence. Diseases such as this one are primarily caused by corrosive and caustic animal salts, and because of this, the true pestilence, smallpox, measles, etc., usually originate near the River Nile. This is due to the annual flooding, which leaves behind fish, eels, and other animals, which rot in the intense heat of the sun. This reduction to rottenness and putrefaction means the salts of the animals are volatilized and brought to an almost infinite smallness of parts. These salts can take up to the air, and these small swords and darts are inhaled by breath and cause the dreadful symptoms of these diseases. New York's illness is most likely caused by its inhabitants carrying their tubs from their privies, and in them all the ordure of the town, and casting them all over their wharfs and into their docks. The hot and dry weather is also an added cause of the disease. So what can we do to take care of this disease? By cleaning the filth from our streets, building vaults to receive our ordure, and protecting it from the sun, and avoiding stagnant water are some of the many things that we can do to avoid this disease. Another possible safety precaution might be the usage of face masks. By wearing a mask, you could protect yourself from inhaling these dangerous salts. Thank you for your time, and remember to think of your countrymen before you throw your waste into the river. This is Drew Carlson, signing out.
Hello, my name is Joseph Ritter. On August 16th, my servant Timothy Connors escaped from my custody in Lancaster County. He is about 20 years old and has a freckled face and a scar on his nose. He was last seen wearing a white jacket, a coarse felt hat, and women's shoes. Bring him back to my custody and you will receive 20 shillings. Thank you.